started, and I just want you to know, and I know you're here because you feel the same way I do, I love this region. This is such a great community for us to live in. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country. We have 18 Fortune 500 companies headquartered here. And it is a wonderful climate for business, and we're productive. And we have so much opportunity for so many of us. We work at jobs that pay us fairly for what we do. And they're jobs that really make it possible for us to afford childcare while we're working. And we might not consider ourselves to be wealthy, but we know that we have enough money to make choices in our lives. We have enough to eat, and we can always find healthy food at prices that are really within our budget. And some of us, I hope lots of us, travel to work on buses and trains, but many more of us drive our own cars. And then we can hop on bikes on beautiful bike trails, and we can walk and hike in the parks and the open spaces in the region. It is a beautiful place to live. And we live in comfortable homes, and we feel safe when we walk on those sidewalks and on the streets in our neighborhoods. And we have great amenities for theater and music and art and sports, and we can splurge for a ticket every now and then for something that we're really passionate about. And you know what else? We're involved in our children's schools. And we imagine a future for them where they're going to go to college and they're going to get an opportunity to go to work. And we know that we can help them to succeed. So our children have abundant choices. And they're choices like we had about where we're going to live, where we're going to work. And we know that each one of them is going to have a fair chance to achieve his or her full potential. You know what? That's what opportunity looks like. It's not that complicated. It's actually pretty simple if you think about it. And I know you agree with me that this vision of opportunity is a vision of a truly prosperous region. And that this is not a vision just for a few families in some communities, but it should be for all families, in all neighborhoods, and in all communities, for all of us. And the challenge that we face today is that for some neighborhoods in our region and in some communities, this really isn't what they experience. This isn't the opportunity we would like to see for our entire region. You know, we've made progress on race relations and equal opportunity, but quite frankly, it's not enough. In fact, our nation has some of the most shocking race-based disparities in the country. Our region has race-based disparities that are worse than Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Seattle, Washington, D.C. I don't know about you, but quite frankly, when I love this region as much as I do, I am pretty embarrassed that our region is at the top of a list I don't want to see us at the top of. And that is, we are the top of a list of the 25 largest U.S. metropolitan areas with the worst race-based income disparities in the country. And if we want the vision and the future for opportunity that I just described, we have to change. And we really want that opportunity for all people. So my question to all of you is, are you ready for that challenge? And are you ready to change? Are we ready to ensure that each new baby born, and each high school graduate, and each new job seeker has a fair chance to achieve his or her full potential? In order to change, we really have to know what we're up against. So today we have for you a summary of the Council's Fair Housing and Equity Assessment. And it really gives us a glimpse of where we are today and what the work ahead of us needs to be. Today in our region, only 6% of white people live in poverty. You know, that is probably one of the very lowest poverty rates for white people in the country. But if you're a person of color, it's a totally different story. 25% of people of color live in poverty, and that is one of the very worst rates for a metropolitan area in our country. And research tells us that people who live in poverty have lower high school graduation rates. They're less likely to own their own home. They're more likely to suffer from chronic illness, and they're more likely to be a victim of a crime. Well, poverty by itself really isn't the only problem. As you can imagine, people who live in neighborhoods where most of their neighbors are also poor encounter more barriers to success than people who live in higher income neighborhoods. And growing up in concentrated poverty makes children less likely to succeed than their parents. And this is a pattern that harms families' chances to succeed into the middle class generation after generation. And a subset of these impoverished neighborhoods are also predominantly home to people of color, people who not only face the challenges of concentrated poverty, but face the challenge of race discrimination. And these poor and segregated neighborhoods are what we are terming racially concentrated areas of poverty, or RCAP. The fact is that the poorest and the most segregated neighborhoods in our region have grown substantially since 1990. And I think if you look up here at this map, you can see the racially concentrated areas of poverty. And it's not a story that we want to see for the next 10 years and the next 20 years and the next 30 years after that. In 2010, 9% of our population, so that's more than 250,000 people in our region, live in one of these racially concentrated areas of poverty. Just think about that. That is just about 1 in 10 Twin City residents live in a neighborhood where the odds may be stacked against them. I'm confident that if we agree as a region that this disparity is just unacceptable and it is a barrier to our growth as a region, that we will be able to work together to invest in equity. Opportunity can be within reach for everyone. Think of the possibility for our region to grow, to prosper, if we could eliminate this race-based income disparity. What if we could move 300,000 people out of poverty? What would that look like? Imagine a region where people of color have the same high school graduation rates as a white population, the same employment rates, the same home ownership rates. And what would that look like? Well, you know what it would look like? We'd have 182,000 more high school graduates. Wouldn't that be great? We'd have 137,000 more people employed in the workforce. And we'd have 216,000 more homeowners. This economic progress would result in the investment of $35 billion into our economy. This would be money that would be spent on housing and childcare and education and consumer goods. And this is how growth happens. When so many people don't have the opportunity to grow and succeed, we're going to get stuck in our region. So let me say that one more time. Eliminating racial disparities could inject $35 billion into our regional economy. So investing in equity and opportunity is really investing in regional growth. So I'm sure some of you are sitting out there thinking, well, what does the Metropolitan Council have to do with eliminating disparities anyway? Well, I would say everything. For 46 years, the council was lauded for thinking regionally in order to help our region prosper. So in 2014, we're opening a new chapter. I think we're moving to an era where we're going to both think regionally, but we're going to act equitably. At the Met Council, our council members and many of our staff had the opportunity to participate in cultural competency training this past year. And I found it just to be a fascinating and an eye-opening experience for me personally, and I know others felt the same. And one of the things we were wrestling with in that training was trying to define what is the difference between equality and equity. what does that really mean? And how would we act on that? Well, one of my favorite definitions came from Ed, who manages our website, who is involved with the training, and he says this: equality is like a group of people who are dropped in the middle of a lake in identical swimsuits, and they're asked to swim to shore. So it's equal, right? Well, equity, on the other hand, is like a group of people who are dropped in the middle of the lake, and they have what they need to get to shore. Maybe some of them need flippers and goggles. Maybe some of them need an inner tube. Maybe some of them need a jet ski. I don't know. But equity is different than equality, because the reality of our world is things aren't equal to begin with. So translated to public policy, equity really requires us to have a tailored approach to each community in our region, and in particularly in areas that have historic disinvestment. When I talk to mayors and county commissioners and city council members from around the region, I know each one of them care very much about the unique character of their own neighborhood and their own community, and they know it well. So this idea that there are different things needed in different communities, 5,000, that is really easy for us to understand. You know, in our area, in our region, disparities like educational attainment and employment are both social and they're spatial. And that means that they may show up predominantly in some geographies, and that race and place and well-being are really tied together. So let me say that again. You know, your race impacts where you live, and where you live impacts your health, your education, and your economic outcomes. And we really can't address one without the other. Well, so what role can the council play here? So next month, the Decennial Regional Plan, Thrive MSP 2040, is going to go out for public comment. We've been working on it for a long time, well over a year, hundreds of hours of meetings and listening to people, and probably thousands of people who've had the opportunity to provide input to us on this. And this new plan will demonstrate for us about how do we take equitable decision-making into 3 key areas: community engagement, housing, and transit. So let's talk about community engagement first. Public engagement model is really something that has to change, and I think we've been working on it, making progress, and I think we're getting there, but we have a ways to go. We want to work with communities to develop solutions. We know that government and policymakers decide how resources get distributed. And through our investment decisions, those really have impacts on people's lives. So we want to make sure that people who are impacted by our decisions are telling us what they need, what they want, and what they want to see in their community. So we've begun to change our practices. We are listening earlier. We're trying to listen to people in new and different ways and engage people who have historically not been at the table and who haven't participated with us, so they can have greater impact at the very beginning of our work. So our whole approach to community engagement is to make decisions with people and not just for people, and this is the best way to make our work equitable, when people are at the table with us. Second, we want to really work with our partners to create choices in housing throughout the region, and this is across age and race and ethnicity and economic means and ability. We need to get better results in housing, and to do that, we can't do that just on our own at the council, but we can partner with community organizations and local governments to serve racially concentrated areas of poverty, to spur the right kind of development in our very poorest neighborhoods, with the help of council resources. This development will bring about more opportunity for jobs and more opportunity to stabilize housing in areas that have declining values. But better, more balanced neighborhoods won't just happen from development and redevelopment. And increasingly, the council really needs to understand its connection with nonprofits and with schools because we know that lifting people out of poverty is a both and proposition. It's affordable housing and a good job. It's job training and transit. It's good schools and safe streets and parks. These things are all connected and all linked. And because economic success is also both and proposition, we want to work to expand connections to employment through equitable transit service and facilities. So let's talk about transportation. We want to make investments in the transportation system that's going to provide both the short-term benefits of construction. Those construction jobs are tremendous for this region, but the longer-term benefits of access to both schools and work. So we have something to celebrate coming up pretty soon. I hope everyone here knows what it is. June 14th, we're going to open the Green Line. Yay! Woo! I hope you're all going to be there. I can hardly wait. It's going to be a great weekend for us. But let's talk about the Green Line and what we know about what's happened this past year. Since we started construction in 2011. This is the largest public works project in the history of the state of Minnesota. 5,400 people have been working to build and design this project. It's really a remarkable story for our state. And in addition to the public money spent on this project, what we know today, and the line hasn't even opened yet, there's been over $1.7 billion in private investment along the line. And I'm not counting the jobs that are engaged with the development of those projects. That's another whole story. But what's exciting to me as a public partner is that when we built this project, 18% of the people who worked to build and design the project were people of color. And it's not enough, and we need to do more, but 10% of all the dollars spent to design and build this project went to women and minority-owned businesses. And I think that's the part of success as a public employer that we can bring to this community. Well, in 2013, last year, Governor Dayton proposed an increase of a half cent in our sales tax to be dedicated for transit. So we can expand regular route bus service. So we can expand express bus service. So we can build BRT. So we can build LRT. And this is what our region could look like if we can get that thing passed. And we're making progress. We got it passed in the Senate last year. And we know transportation is going to be a big topic this legislative session. And if people like you really care about it, I hope you'll talk with your legislators about it and let them know that you think it's important for the future of our region. In December, I joined Commissioner Charlie Zelle, our MnDOT commissioner, at a series of town hall forums in the region, about 5 of them. And this is following on work Charlie was doing all over the state. I think, Charlie, you went to 30 different communities to talk about what do we need for our state and our region to invest in transit and transportation. And what we heard in all of the places I was at was that people want more, and they want it now. And I think that's good news, that people really care about this. I want to call back a particular participant who was there who said, you know what? I work downtown. My bus route, the last bus out is at 6. I can't take on late hours, and I can't take on special projects because that's my only choice to get home. And so for that individual to have expanded frequency, later bus times, really is about personal ability to succeed, personal economic opportunity. And that story could be played out over and over and over again in this region because it is how people get to work. So transit expansion is certainly linked to personal economic success. And transit is also part of stimulating development in the region. And we're going to be expanding into a new mode this year. And for people who don't know about bus rapid transit or BRT, it's going to be fun. You're going to like it when you find out more about it. So really, what is it? Well, it's frequent all-day service, like a light rail line. The boarding is faster on and off, like on a light rail train. It's more comfortable station amenities, and basically the trip is just faster. What we know is that on BRT, the line that we're going to propose right out this door, it's 25 to 30% faster than regular route bus service. Now that makes a lot of difference to someone in their daily life and the choices they're making. Well, in June, we were really pleased to open with our partners, Minnesota Valley Transit Authority and Dakota County, the Bread Line. Yay, for all the people who worked on that. And that goes from Apple Valley to Bloomington. And I think there's a picture. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, so you can see, wow, that is no ordinary bus stop on that BRT line. And that's the type of amenity we can have on BRT that attracts riders, that makes it faster to get on and off the buses, that would be an investment in our community in the future. So let me talk about the A line. Right outside of this door is Snelling Avenue. Snelling Avenue is a really high-frequency bus route today. Carries a lot of riders on a daily basis. I think it's around 4,000 riders. So we're proposing an A-line BRT service on this Snelling Avenue. And let me tell you what it would connect. It's pretty darn exciting. Snelling Avenue is a busy commercial. People have been, and it has lots of popular destinations. Of course, Macalester College, Hamline University, Highland Village Shopping Area, Rosedale Shopping Area, Minnehaha Falls Park, the Midway Shopping Area, and it connects to both the Green Line going from downtown St. Paul to Minneapolis and the Blue Line going from, now the Red Line, all the way from Apple Valley through to downtown. So the governor requested $10 million in the bonding, his bonding proposal this year, so we could begin construction on this BRT line this next year, and I think it would be really exciting. And I have to say to all my friends in Ramsey County who really would like to see this line extended out to the TCAP site in Arden Hills, that's something that we could think about in the future as well. So we have a dotted line on that map for that reason. So we know that the best possible, most equitable transit expansion means high frequency, quality service, and we have to have the right mode in the right corridor at the right time. And we can do that if we have this expanded investment in transit in our region. And we know that will spur development, and we know that will be good for the region as a whole. You know what? This vision of opportunity really isn't easy. This vision of equity isn't easy, and it won't be easy if we don't do things, if we don't act. Sometimes it's difficult because communities might perceive if one community gets a bigger slice of the pie that they're going to get left out. And that's really a barrier to acting equitably. So let's think about that differently. What we know is that if equity is done right and we're investing in disadvantaged communities, what we're going to do is we're going to grow the whole pie. And everyone will be able to get a bigger slice of the pie. And that's how we have to start thinking about acting equitably. So I'm going to challenge each of us to think about it. What would we do if you work with a city, you work with a county, you work with a nonprofit or schools or a business or your community? You know, how are you going to act on this? What are you going to do? And I think it starts with asking the right questions. Why is equity important to our region? Why is equity important to my business? Why is equity important to my neighborhood and to my community? You know, to me, the reasons equity are important are tenfold. It's really about ensuring that children who are in grade school today, who live in poverty, have a chance to achieve their dreams and to be everything that they can be. And it's also about the future prosperity of our region as a whole. I look at these third graders here in this picture, And I just see and ask the questions, what's going to happen? Are they going to graduate from high school? Are they going to go to college? Will they be able to get a job? Will they be able to buy a home? Can they earn enough to support their family? Will they become a business owner? Are they going to be the mayor of their city? What does their future look like? So I think promises and choices abound for us and for them if we can think regionally and we can act equitably. So I hope you'll join us at the council. Let's roll up our sleeves and let's get to work. Thank you.